Hey everybody, welcome to season 3 of the Jesus Taxi. I'm back in Nashville, Tennessee today, and I'm interviewing a guy from Ireland that I just recently met. His name is John, and he's from a band called the Nooks. Stick around for the best 30 minutes of your day right here on the Jesus Taxi Show.
You're the reason. You're the reason. You're the reason. You're the reason. You're the reason.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Jesus Taxi Show. I'm your host, Wayne Hanson. I'm here in the car with my new friend from Ireland, John from the Nooks. So, John, we're going to put it in auto cut here, and the cameras are going to switch, and we're just going to drive around Nashville.
Sounds good to me.
Talk about life.
Great to meet you, Wayne.
Good to meet you.
Great to be in Nashville.
Yeah, there's a lot to see, huh?
Yeah, it's a vacation of a lifetime for myself. I just turned 40 last week, and my wife booked a surprise trip. Went to New York for a couple of days, and then we've come to Nashville for 4 nights. So we're just meeting up with new buddies like Wayne here and checking out the neighborhood.
That's awesome. So tell me about the Nooks, or just whatever musical. Tell me your musical journey and all that.
Yeah, well, I was obviously always interested in music, and I met a guy back home in Ireland in recovery, and we decided, accidentally we started playing music together, and at that time we were hell-bent on writing original music and putting our stamp on the world.
And what city in Ireland?
We're from Newry. It's a Newry County Down. It's about 30 minutes from Belfast and about 1 hour from Dublin. So it's it's a border town. It's in the border of Ireland and the north of Ireland. So Chris and I met, and we started writing some tunes together, and then we started playing covers, and then that became a full-time job, and it's great. We love it.
Right.
But this year we've actually decided we're going to get back on the saddle and start putting music together that we love again. And funny, and I was speaking earlier on, I said a lot of the music, our favourite tunes to play would be gospel type music.
Oh, no kidding.
You know, yeah, it's one of our favourite songs is Angel Band from Oh Brother Where Art Thou?
Yes.
Track.
Yeah.
So we really enjoy that.
Yeah. My dad was a big fan of Southern gospel music. There's a really well-known Southern gospel producer named Bill Gaither, and it was the Gaither family singers. And we would go to Gaither concerts growing up, and of course all the bluegrass songs like I'll Fly Away, and Just Over in the Glory Land, and all those kind of picking kind of songs, those Kentucky style picking songs.
And the harmonies in that kind of music is just, it fills you up.
Yeah.
Really,
so how many people in your band?
There's 5 in the band. We've got drums, bass, acoustic guitar, banjo, and fiddle.
Yeah.
So, and Chris plays electric as well.
So were you always musical? Were your parents musical?
Yeah, my mother sang in bands, and I never really I always had interest in music and theatre and drama and things like that, but I never really took part much in it until I got into recovery at 20. So I got into recovery at 20, and I met Chris at 23, and me and him started on a musical journey together. So
how did you get in trouble with the law, or like what was the low point for you in turning around?
The low point was just probably spiritual, physical, and financial bankruptcy. I got myself into a state where I was a nuisance to everyone, and I thought I was never going to be happy again, and I couldn't see life without alcohol and drugs, and I couldn't see a life with it either, and I found a new way.
I think one of those books calls that the jumping off point.
The jumping off point is right.
Yeah. I was there too, drug addicted in my late teens, and just I'm so far removed from it, years from now I can talk about it, but my dad was a Pentecostal preacher, and one of the deacon's kids got me into selling cannabis in my high school.
Yeah.
So he was connected with this distributor, and we had an unlimited supply of cannabis in the high school darkroom. So I was developing photos for the yearbook, and then for the high school newspaper, and then selling cannabis on the side out of the darkroom. And when I realized that there were no limits and there was no one to stop me, I was toking up every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't getting stoned anymore. I had to toke up just to feel normal. And I got into psychosis and became suicidal, and I needed real help.
It's funny you said, because I had the exact same experience with cannabis, and my father was in recovery, and he seen the cannabis as the lesser of the two evils with alcohol, because I was sort of more controllable. I wasn't going missing when I was taking cannabis. When I was taking alcohol, I could have just disappeared.
Right.
And he used to say to me, like, why do you even smoke cannabis anymore? It's not doing anything for you. He described it like I was driving a car with a handbrake on. So I was going through life sort of fogged out and no ambition, and I wasn't even getting any high from it. So it was a total pointless act, and yet I was still heavily addicted.
Yeah. It's wild. I have a friend that's from New York. He was an Irish cop.
Yeah.
And he tells a story of how the police in New York started not busting people that were on heroin or cannabis, because he realized that all they did was just pass out and not do anything.
Yeah.
And so they kind of made certain drugs okay. And in some ways that was like, it was good for the addict, right? You never got in trouble. But the bad thing was you never got in trouble. You never hit bottom.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So they turned a blind eye to it more so than to the drugs and the...
Right.
Because obviously with alcohol you're gonna be more ruckus. You're gonna cause more trouble. Well, I certainly would have. You know.
You're more active.
Yeah, you're more active.
Your anger gets out of control.
You're more dangerous to yourself and others around you.
Yep. More likely to be violent.
Yeah.
Yep, all those things. Yeah, so the turning point was just bankruptcy, spiritual bankruptcy, physical bankruptcy.
Yeah, and I got in trouble with different authorities, I would say, and but I came to a place where I was willing to seek help. And it's funny, even with all that, in our recovery we talk about a higher power, and I would have been quite rebellious to that, in a sense where I had no belief in anything, like even the word God and Jesus. I would have shied away from that. I thought it was, I don't know. I was a rebel without a cause, really. I didn't really know why I was so rebellious to this. I had a totally closed mind. I was unwilling to look at the evidence. Right. And my evidence now is that when I turn my life over to a higher power, it works out far better than when I'm running the show. Right. That's my evidence now. Like.
Right. So you've gone through the 12 steps, I'm sure.
Yeah,
right?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have too. Yeah. 5 years ago, I decided to swear off of alcohol, and it was a huge decision for me. And then doing physically, like actually going through those 12 steps, step by step, with people, sharing partners, people that are in recovery with me, people that I could share all of my darkest secrets with. Yeah. That there was, I didn't have to hold back anything and be completely 100% honest with another human being. To me, that was, the way I describe it is that I felt like there was a dump truck of emotions and just BS that just fell off of me after I did step 9. Yeah.
Because and as you rightfully say there, when you have the ability to share those things with another human being, because in our normal, even in our church or our friendship groups, wherever we are, we want to try and appear like we're doing okay. We don't want to disclose them types of weaknesses as such. Right. There's a, I don't know, it's an egoic thing where I don't want the people in my community to think that I have difficulties, that Right. And especially in a religious organisation where you want to do the right thing and you want to seem, that you're doing okay.
Right. and you don't want anyone to look down on you.
Exactly. That's
or you don't want to feel like you're a burden to somebody.
Yeah.
But
and there's nobody. And the truth is, there's no one perfect.
Right.
There's nobody perfect.
Right.
And
yeah, when you think about Jesus himself, he came from a poor family, right? Which means that his situation wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
Right. And Joseph and Mary were human beings, so they were flawed, right? They definitely were not perfect people. And even though I believe, through theologically that Jesus was God's perfect son, he came down into an imperfect world.
Yeah. Right.
And man, it's hard for us to grasp that God loves us even in our mess. To me, that was the thing. I kept on wondering, how can God possibly love me? Like, I don't even love myself. How could he love me? Right?
Yeah.
And that kept me out of recovery for a long time because I didn't feel like I was worth fighting for. And I remember maybe 2 years into my sobriety journey with alcohol, I started saying this phrase out loud in meetings over and over again. I started saying, I'm a person worth fighting for. I'm a person worth fighting for. Like, I always felt like, I'm going to put other people's needs before my own, as if that was some kind of noble thing. But the truth was that until I could put my recovery first, I couldn't be helpful to anybody else. And so I had to be selfish with my own sobriety.
Yeah.
At least that had to be the first thing. Because if I didn't have sobriety, all the rest would just disappear.
Yeah, you'd have nothing to transmit on to the next human being that you meet.
Right.
And it's funny because I suffered with chronic self-awareness. When you spoke about that there.
Yeah.
And being in recovery is let me see you're not that important. Not everyone's looking at you. And I always trying to have this wall up where I need to be. I need to show that I'm perfect. And as we discussed, there's no perfect human being. And I suppose the identification that I've got with people like yourself that I've met over the years, that we don't tell each other how we should do things. We share with each other how we made a mistake, and we can spot a mistake in each other and say, right, I do that. I'm gonna try and improve on that. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's where the magic lies. Right. For recovery.
So you're married.
I'm married.
And you got some kids.
I got 4 kids. I'm married. My wife's called Kira. And we're married. We were actually supposed to come to Nashville on our honeymoon 11 years. No, I better get this right. 2011. No, 2011 we got married. So it was 14 years ago. We were supposed to come to Nashville on our honeymoon, and there was a hurricane called Hurricane Katrina that hit, and all flights were cancelled for a period of time when we were supposed to go on our honeymoon. Right. So we've been threatening to come here since then. That's 14 years have passed, but obviously with I play music at home, and it's we're quite a busy band. It's very hard to just up and leave. I can't just up and leave. We need to plan it years in advance. So are you a house band for a place back home? No, we'll not. We'll start off. Would have been a house band for different venues in Newry and Dundalk and things like that. But a lot of our work now would be functions, festivals. We do a lot of weddings. Yeah. And weddings are a good money maker. Yeah, they're a big celebration in Ireland. Irish people love having a big wedding, and they're a big deal. They want a big dance. They want a big meal. They want everybody to have a really good time. That the Irish people really don't skimp on the weddings. They really go to town when it comes to a wedding. Right. That's good for the working musician. It's great. For sure. Yeah, it's a big celebration. And it's great for us because we love what we do, and people keep having big days and hiring us in. It works really well for us. Yeah. Do you do other events too? Like, do you do special music for funerals or wakes or memorials? Well, we'll do a little bit of that. We've done services and we come from the Catholic faith, and we do services in Catholic churches, and we would do hymns and stuff. Myself and Chris. I don't know Irish cultures, but sometimes I will do music for patriotic occasions. Do you ever have bands that come in and do like patriotic music, or like for July 4th? Or St. Patrick's Day. St. Patrick's Day in Ireland is obviously our is a big day. The 15th of August is a big celebration in Ireland. Some guy hitchhiking there.
No, he's. I think he's homeless. That guy.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, I want to fix that camera just a little bit. Make sure you're in the shot there. Cool. Yeah. A lot of public art here in the cities. You know, that stuff.
Yeah.
It used to be that was all graffiti, but now the cities pay for the murals.
Yeah.
And
get artists in to do them.
Yeah, they pay the artists to do it. Yeah.
And what direction actually are we heading here?
So
now?
we're going south.
We've pushed just past the zoo
Yep.
there.
Yep. So I used to live in Antioch, Tennessee. So I'll tell you a little bit of my musical history.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Detroit, which if you know Motown, you know all the R&B and soul music comes out of there. Stevie Wonder, the Four Tops, the Pips, Aretha Franklin, all that music. And then of course being Pentecostal, we had a lot of black folks in our church too.
Yeah.
So we had all kinds of gospel, black gospel, southern gospel. You know, my dad would preach the gospel. It was all gospel all the time. And I learned, I had some really good teachers in jazz and blues music in high school. In fact, one of my classmates became an instructor at Juilliard, and he used to play for the Rolling Stones. His name was Tim. Oh, he's gonna drive me crazy. Anyway, our school just churned out a lot of jazz musicians.
Yeah.
And so that helped me learn a lot about the rules of how chords and improvisation go together in lots of different styles of music. So I was exposed to soloing on different instruments in my teens. So I really learned how to create phrasing on the bass and on the trumpet, on guitar and vocally at a pretty young age. And so how to find the roots, and to land on the root, And so I still teach a lot of people just the basics of improvisation, because once they learn it, it's almost like learning to talk. You know, when you learn how to phrase something.
All the dots start adding up.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Right? So then my brothers and I had a band. We traveled and toured and then went off to college. And then I came here after college, and I worked for a gospel record label called Word Record Music Group, and was a film producer. So I would make music videos for country music, for TNN, CMT, Sony Music, and then was a session player at night. So they would pay me to play electric guitar at night, and then on the weekends I used to play at a place called Christ Church. And that's when my appetite got wet for leading worship. Yeah. And I started realizing, oh man, there's more to this music thing than entertaining people. Like, we can help a group of people connect with God in a worship environment. Yeah. And just, you feel that electricity on your skin when all of a sudden everyone's singing, and it's like, it's like...
Oh, to me, there's no greater connection than music for connecting people together. And did your father play music?
He did. Yeah. But he was a trombone player. Yeah. And he was a son of Scandinavian immigrants. So he was kind of a loud singer. But he was not on beat very well, but he was always on pitch. Yeah. So maybe like a lot of Irish singers. They're loud, but not always on beat, but the gusto was there, the passion was there.
Yeah, it's funny you said, because in Ireland, a lot of guys, even in studios, they always talk about how in America, the Americans' timing is great. Right. Americans' timing is great.
That's the African American connection, right? Yeah. Because Africans and Latinos play rhythmically almost perfectly, and so the standard in entertainment when it comes to musically here in Nashville and LA and New York, wherever you go, it can't be off time. Yeah. It's got to be right on the beat. And people notice.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
So it's tricky, but not all cultures have that value. Yeah. It's great. It's great. Yeah. So we're heading south. We're moving down near Antioch, where I used to live, and then Brentwood, which is another kind of well-loved area. A lot of studios down here too. A lot of people come out to the suburbs to buy a house, and then they'll build a studio in the basement. Yeah.
So is this area still Nashville? Is this still Nashville?
We're still Nashville, South Nashville.
Yeah.
Yep. So Oh man, our running time, we're getting to the point where I want to pull over and do a little promo here for Summit Church of Douglas County. In fact, I'll just pull over here into the church parking lot. How appropriate. Right here next to the tire shop.
Yeah. See, perfect timing, Americans.
Right? That's right. My dad's church was right next to a pizza place in Michigan, so this is perfect. But let me just take a quick second and tell you all about Summit Church of Douglas County. What do you look for in a good church? A loving spiritual family? Life-giving messages that help you draw closer to God? A place to raise your kids with moral values? A place to connect? A place to protect? And a place to grow? You can find all this and more at Summit Church of Douglas County in Sedalia, Colorado. Summit Church isn't a perfect church, but it's a loving spiritual family nestled in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains in Sedalia. Come join us for an in-person worship at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time at 4240 North Perry Park Road in Sedalia, Colorado, 80135. Or join us live on our Facebook page at facebook.com/Summit Church Sedalia. For more information about our ministry, visit mysummitchurch.com. Do you want to start a relationship with God? Visit 29minutes.org and learn more about how to have a friendship with Jesus Christ. All right, and we are back here in the Jesus Taxi. We're halfway through this episode. I hope you're enjoying our time together. I'm here with a friend named John from the Nooks in Ireland, and we've been. I got my cameras frozen up there on camera 3, and we'll try to figure that out. But we're talking about recovery. We've been talking about. So many things. I'm trying to figure out where we left off.
Well, we're just finishing off on your musical journey.
Oh yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're here in Nashville. I'm going to put it back in auto cut. We were talking about my musical journey.
The pizza shop.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Church.
Yep. So, when I moved down here to Nashville, we were going to church at a place on Old Hickory Boulevard called Christ Church, and the pastor was an incredible. Of course, he was a very godly guy. His name was L.H. Hardwick, and he had a church building in South Nashville that he built just after World War II. And then when they built the interstate, the federal government was buying all the land using eminent domain, and they forced the church to sell. So thankfully they paid him a fair price.
Yeah. And
he took the money from the sale of the church building and built further south, and it was a beautiful spot that they had. He's one of these guys who is just kind of bleeds Tennessee. You know, yeah. He would say things like, "I'm as happy as a hog in high clover," you know, or, just one of those kind of guys who just, well, we could try that. We don't know. Maybe the Lord will bless it. It could work. We just might work if we try. You know, one of those kind of guys. And he would teach the Bible. Well, you know the Lord loves you, don't you? Well, why don't you just turn to him and ask him for some help? Yeah. You know? And you're like, well, that's a good idea, Pastor. I didn't think about it that way. Well, you made a mistake. Ask the Lord for forgiveness.
He sounds like a kind guy.
It was very kind. Very kind.
Because a lot of people can be disillusioned by different organized religions because, like all human beings with feelings, they can be lunatics.
Right.
Get into them roles that aren't coming from a place of love and kindness where...
Right.
And even with... I would have been rebellious to that type of thing, but if I look at all the teachings of Jesus Christ, everything that he done, everything was with kindness and love. That's and non-judgment.
That's right.
You know, and to me, that's where it lies.
Yep, that's the answer.
That's the answer, yeah.
Yep. And so that church grew. I mean, it exploded in growth because of his kindness, and they had a really wonderful choir. And so there's a man named Landy and Joy Gardner, and they were really well known in the Southern gospel realm for recording choir parts So the Gaithers and a lot of the gospel records would use Christ Church choir members in session work on gospel records and country records. And they would play at the Opry. So if a country singer ever wanted like a church choir to sing behind him, it was always the Christ Church choir in the green robes with the gold stole, you know. And so I ended up playing guitar for the choir in the pit orchestra on the days when Tom Hemby wasn't there. Tom Hemby was like the.
Have you played in the Grand Ole Opry?
Oh yeah. So the choir did. I didn't get to play at the Opry, but I was with the choir that sang there.
Yeah.
And then I played guitar for the youth choir band, which traveled and sang and recorded. But you know, Dolly Parton would come. The Judds would come. I think we saw Kenny Rogers once. You know.
Yeah.
It was sort of a who's who of gospel music, country music. You know, Christian contemporary, the Christian rock scene. There were a lot of artists that were in those realms that would go to the church.
And there's definitely a definitive link between country music in this area and Christian music. You know, there's a strong bond.
Yeah.
And I'm actually, as you're speaking, I'm looking around. I don't think I'm not listening to you, but I'm just amazed at everything I'm seeing here because it's all brand new here in Nashville. Where we are now, are we far from the Grand Ole Opry?
It's further. They built it out kind of towards the airport. It's out in the country, kind of further away from town.
Yeah.
But originally, the Grand Ole Opry was at the Ryman Auditorium.
Yeah, we're going to a gig there on Thursday night.
Oh, nice.
Myself and my wife, yeah.
Yep. So they had there was a circle that you would get get to sing in if you ever got to sing on the Grand Ole Opry, and where they would sing this gospel song. You probably have sang it if you sing gospel. Will the circle be unbroken?
Oh yeah.
By and by, Lord, by and by. So when they moved the Opry out to Opryland, they cut out a circle out of the Ryman Auditorium where the main microphone, where the radio mic used to be, and they took the circle out to Opryland.
Yeah.
And people still, the tradition is if you get to sing at the Opry, you get to enter the circle, you know, and, you know, sing. You have the, I don't know, the bragging rights, the fact that you got to sing at the Opry.
Well, it's funny that particular song in 2019, myself and my music partner Chris went to see Neil Young and Bob Dylan both performing in Kilkenny.
Wow.
In Ireland, and they sang that song. They sang that song as a duet together. Will the Circle Be Unbroken? And it was great. Yeah. It was really good.
Yeah, it's a powerful song.
This morning you were saying after I was speaking to you were going to do a workout.
Yeah.
Oh, so what was? I'm always interested because I'm interested in athletics and I do a small amount of calisthenics and different types of workouts. So what sort of working out were you doing this morning?
So I've been following this fitness and nutrition plan from a guy named Dr. Stephen Gundry, and he was one of the early proponents. He's a health surgeon from Los Angeles, and he's a proponent of the keto diet.
Yeah.
Of the carnivore diet.
Yeah.
And of course I did that for a lot of years, but then it just got to be where I no carbs at all, no bread, no crackers, no potatoes, right? It was too much.
Yeah.
So I ended up modifying just more to moderation, right?
Yeah.
Fewer carbs, healthier fats and oils, so olive oil.
Yeah.
And then I avoid processed sugars and highly processed carbohydrates, but simple carbohydrates are okay. And then I switch between weightlifting and HIIT cardio, which is high intensity cardio. You do bursts, and then you rest. You burst and you rest. You burst and you rest. And that seems to have been working pretty good for me for the last 6 months or so.
And it's so good for me anyway. It's so good for my mental health.
Yeah.
Like it's chemically proven that you're releasing endorphins.
Yep.
You know, after you finish the workout, you're in better mood.
Yes.
Like it's medicine for the mind as well as the body.
For sure.
And you talk about refined sugars because I have a total polarized personality where one month I could be totally vegan and the next month I could be only eating meat. You know, and of it. So as you rightfully said there, it's getting things in moderation.
Yes.
You know, it's trying to find something. There's a guy from my hometown says, if something's too heavy, you're going to sit it down. So it's getting things in moderation and finding something that's going to work consistently,
Right.
instead of something like I'll do this for a week and then
Right.
next week I'm back on the candy.
Right. And rather than those radical swings up and
Yeah.
down all the time, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. There's something to all that.
Yeah, so me and my wife are actually training for Barcelona half marathon. We're doing it in Valentine's weekend.
Oh, nice.
So I have a gig on the Friday night, and we're flying to Barcelona on Valentine's Day. I'm pretty sure, on the half marathons on the 15th on the Sunday.
Cool.
So we're looking forward to.
That's
to
good.
that. Yeah.
Well, this is the Jesus Taxi show, and I know that we've talked about religion a little bit. We talked about Catholicism, but what are your thoughts on the person of Jesus Christ? What are your thoughts on him? Do you think he was a historical person? Do you think he's more of a metaphor for how you ought to live? Or what's your personal experience?
Yeah,
or
you know,
thoughts on that?
that's a great question, because that's a debate that would be ongoing with me. As far as I'm aware, and I haven't done much research on it, I believe he was a historical, real person, and I believe his teachings, to act in the way Jesus acted, is the perfect principle.
Right.
To live on this planet, to be in joy and harmony with your fellow man. And if I had heard somebody saying it to me when I came into early recovery, I'd be thinking, that's a hippie lunatic.
Well, he probably was a lot like a modern day hippie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I suppose he was,
Because
yeah.
they thought he was a lunatic then.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And so everything that Jesus taught is the grassroots for joy, in my opinion. And sometimes that can be covered over because the human condition can get involved, and sometimes that's what happens with different organised religions, whereby the message is diluted. The message of Jesus is diluted just by human sin, for want of a better word. You know, human beings obviously aren't perfect, as we discussed earlier on in the episode, and they get caught up with trying to enforce what Jesus is doing, and they forget to look at themselves.
Yeah.
You know, and to me, to show what Jesus can do, you don't tell people what to do. You lead by example.
That's right.
You lead by example. You know.
That's right. Of course, I'm evangelical. I tell people I'm a Baptist-costal. I grew up Pentecostal, but I'm kind of Baptist in my theology, right? I do believe that there needs to be some kind of moment in your life where you accept what Christ has done on your behalf, and that you invite him in.
Yeah.
That you ask him to be the Lord of your life. You know, early on, the early days of recovery with Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob Smith, they used to to make people get on their knees and receive Jesus Christ as the Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
I don't think that compulsion is probably not the way that it works best, right? There has to be a willingness to it.
Yeah.
People can't be forced into those things, or you can't bribe them into it,
No, you have to come to see of your own accord.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And only you know if you've really surrendered, if you've made that decision, right? You know, and God knows.
Yeah.
But
funny, as I said, I come from the Catholic faith. Right. And there's comedians in Ireland. There's one certain comedian, I actually forget his name, but he says he would describe himself as Catholic-ish. He says, I'm not really sure, but I have all the paperwork just in case it's true.
I think that's great. That's great. You showed me a picture of a nun praying a blessing over you.
Yeah, well, it was actually before Christmas. Myself and Chris went to entertain the nuns from our church, in our local church, and there's a lot of these nuns are elderly ladies, and they've devoted their lives to Jesus. And a lot of them's older, and a lot of them has Alzheimer's now, and a lot of these women are incredible women, and they've dedicated their life to service of their fellow man and to Jesus.
Right.
And I'm sure there's some of them are crazy too.
I'm sure. Of course. Right.
And maybe not these ladies, but over the years they've got a bad rep, and especially in Ireland, there's been things like that. But
and you've got politics there, just like you've got here.
We've got politics there, of course we do. But it's you can't tar everyone with the same brush. It's every human being is different.
That's right.
You can't say a certain amount of these people were cruel and bad, so they're all these people like that. That's not the case. It's the same in any walk of life.
Right.
You know,
My wife has an Italian scooter. See this scooter here?
it's a Vespa, is it?
It's a Vespa, I think, or maybe a Vino. But I love those little scooters, man. They're so fun.
Yeah.
So I'm a motorcycle enthusiast.
Yeah.
Do you ride
No,
on there?
I've never. I've been on a motorcycle maybe twice in my life as a passenger. I've never rode a motorcycle.
So I'm the chaplain for a local chapter in Sedalia called the Christian Motorcyclists Association, and our little riding group is called the Pride of Christ. But that's the largest Christian motorcycle ministry in the world, and they have a huge representation in Ireland.
Yeah.
I've got friends in CMA in Ireland, and so you look for the back patch with the gold cross and the Bible on it.
It says
CMA, yeah, Christian Motorcyclists Association, and they're in Italy too. You know, on the Vespas and all the scooters and stuff.
It's incredible how there's things going on in your community and you're not even aware of it.
Right.
You know, there's things that got there. That's incredible.
It's really cool. So tell me, what's next for you guys musically? Well, you know, maybe give me do you have a Spotify for your music channel?
See, that's myself and Chris started playing together in 2008, and we've been playing functions and festivals, and weddings and parties and bars and all these things since that. But we've made small attempts to record music over the years, and we keep drifting away because we're so busy with what we're doing. Chris has got 3 kids, I've got 4 kids. Yeah. And so we've said this February we're going to make a big effort to start recording music, start putting stuff down.
Nice.
You know, and we're going to start pushing that. Yeah. In a sense where.
So is there a studio in Ireland you're going to record in?
A lot of the stuff we can record ourselves because we have a lot of we've real good mics. Chris has really good mics, and we've got great software. So it's only getting the tracks down will be easy. It's then getting them somewhere mixed. Yeah. You know, and
there's a studio here in Nashville I'd recommend that you could probably upload a lot of your tracks to, and they could do the finishing work.
Yeah.
It's called Omni Sound.
Omni Sound.
And you can pay per song.
Yeah.
And you can pay to master it or have them mix it. You could hire session musicians, and they would come and lay down tracks on it. You know, like maybe you want a pedal steel because there's not anybody in Ireland that can do a pedal steel like they do it here.
No, definitely not. There is some guys that can play pedal steel, but there's a vast amount of really talented pedal steel players here, and it's an instrument you want on your songs. Like.
Oh, right, for sure. If you're going to do country, for sure. Yeah, that's awesome.
That's actually good to know. I must write that down once.
Yep. So make sure and send me whatever links you want for your music on the episode, and I'll post some of that as well. Yeah. I'll put it for those of you who are on social. I'll post some of that in the description of the YouTube video, and you can follow the links to Nook.
Yeah, Nooks. And for Instagram, it's at the Nooks Music.
Okay.
So it's Nooks.
Perfect. And mine is Wayne Hanson Music on Instagram and on TikTok. Yeah. And then I'm on Spotify under Wayne Hanson. Yes. My latest album is called Sunsets Never Lie, and it's kind of a family. It's a country album of family songs, written for my wife and for my daughters, and advice for my sons.
Yeah. How many kids have you?
I've got 4 adult children.
Have you 4? Yeah.
Yeah.
So how old are your kids?
So they're 29, 27, and 25. I believe that's right.
Have you twins?
I've got twins in there. Yep. So
yeah, well, our oldest boy is 15, John, and our next boy Tom is 10. The little girl Anna's 7, and a young baby. Well, he's not a baby now. Danny, he's 5.
That's awesome. Well, you're at the beginning of your journey.
I'm at the beginning. Yeah,
that's awesome.
The real worry hasn't started yet.
That's right. That's right. Ooh, I ran that one. That's awesome. That is awesome. So you play harmonica, but you also play other instruments.
I play a rhythm guitar and harmonica. And
when you write music?
Well,
or you collaborate with your...
Yeah, well, with me and Chris would have wrote music like back in 2008, 2009, but that's all sort of... We haven't really done anything like that in that length of time. Yeah. So we want to get back on the saddle and start trying to put a wee bit of creative energy back into our music again, you know, because we've spent so long playing covers, and we really enjoy it. We really enjoy doing that. But once we start recording now, we'll probably start recording a few covers, and then we'll start getting a bit of creative work back.
The upside of making originals is no one can tell you if you did the song wrong.
Brilliant.
Right?
Yeah.
And you could switch the second verse to the first verse and nobody knows the difference.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's your song.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the beauty of doing originals. And then if you want to change the words for the environment that you're in or with someone that you're performing to, there's no copyright issues or whatever.
Yeah.
It's your song. You own it, It's wonderful. Man, I really enjoyed my time with you.
Yeah,
our time went so fast. We're already way beyond our broadcast length, so we're good to go. But any extra I'll post onto my social, and you can see the whole
And it's amazing that 7 hours ago I didn't know you, and
right.
now we're driving through Nashville together. It's been incredible meeting you, Wayne. It's really, really lovely.
Yeah, it's been great, and hopefully have a chance to do some more music together in the future or whatever. I think I'm close to where you were. I might have to go. Is this? We're pretty close. Yeah, we're pretty close.
Well, if you need to turn off, it's anyway handy. I can.
I know we're not far. It's down here somewhere.
There's another shop.
Yeah, we can go on Broadway real quick if you want to. That's always fun. So have you walked Broadway at night here?
Last night we walked around the bars. Oh, here we're coming up to it now.
Okay.
We walked around it last night. Oh, myself and Kira walked along the Cumberland River, and Old Crow Medicine Show. I'm a massive fan of them, and they have a song, Cumberland River.
Oh yeah.
It's probably mentioned in a lot of songs around here.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of history in the Cumberland for sure.
Yeah. So we hang a left here, and then.
Mm-hmm. Get back to your hotel.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was part of the Confederate South back in Civil War times. So they used to have slave ships here when they would have the slave trade, and there's spots here in town where they used to have the human auctions when they would auction slaves, and you can see some of the history of that.
Yeah.
And then
so these were when black people took from Africa.
Yep, taken from Africa, and then they'd be sold and then put on trains to Louisiana or to Georgia or Alabama, work in the cotton fields or work in the sugarcane fields in Louisiana.
It's unbelievable.
Or tobacco in the Carolinas.
It's unbelievable how humans can do that to each other, isn't it?
Right. But yet it's not that different now. We've got cartels here in the States that are selling people into human trafficking all the time.
Yeah.
And they say there's more slaves in the world now than there's ever been because of criminal activity.
It's so sad.
It's very sad. And it's another reason why we, those of us who are in recovery and those of us who are in the entertainment industry, to raise awareness. Like, hey, we're going to make a difference here. If we can get someone off the street, get them cleaned up, get them off of drugs, get them, sober, they're going to make better life decisions. They're going to get a job. They're going to be a better mom. They're going to be a better dad. They'll be a better citizen.
That's the beauty too. With having a church and having a church community. You've more availability and probably more structure to help people.
Yeah, we try.
Yeah,
we definitely try. But of course, you know how it is. A person, it only works if a person is willing.
That's it.
If they're not willing, you can't force it on anybody.
No, yeah.
So, yeah, a lot of dreams that get hung right here on Broadway.
There's so much talent here too.
Yeah. It's so crazy.
It's just I went into a few bars, and obviously. I don't want to be hanging about bars because I'm not. Right. I don't drink. None of the bars sell coffee.
Right.
Which I find out nobody sells coffee here.
I know.
I'm actually.
Oh,
is it not there, or is the next one?
I think it's further up. Yeah.
It's the next. Yeah. Yeah, it's the next. It's left here, but I can jump anywhere if you have to.
Yep. No, that's good. Yeah, and believe me, this is actually a calm time of the week.
Yeah.
Friday night.
The road's closed.
It's like. I'll go one more. I'll have to go one more. It's like Times Square.
Yeah, because my brother's girlfriend's parents came here during the summer and landed here on Saturday night, and they were like, "What is going on here? Like, we weren't expecting this." It was like loads of hen parties and stag parties, and they were an older couple, and I thought they were just going to come into a few wee quiet bars and hear some. I'm a big fan of bluegrass music.
Right.
There's somewhere here where there's a bluegrass area here, isn't there? I've Googled a spot and it says it's bluegrass.
It's called The Station.
The Station.
Yeah,
that's it.
They do. In fact, if you're here on Sunday night, you could play at the station.
I'm actually we're home on
So
Friday.
you could sit in the circle and
Yeah.
play at the station. And they do a lot of gospel.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So
See, but there's a big, obviously, probably more so. There's a more so link with bluegrass and gospel music than country. Like
yes, well, I would say gospel and bluegrass are tightly connected.
Yeah.
Whereas mainstream country may acknowledge gospel here and there, but
Yeah.
there's not
Same-
an industry
Yes.
connection.
Yeah,
You know.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So it is fascinating. You know.
yeah, because bluegrass. If I had to pick my favorite genre of music, it would be bluegrass music.
Yeah. Do you listen to Billy Strings?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, he's great.
I love Larry Sparks. Have you heard of Larry Sparks?
No.
Larry Sparks, a bluegrass artist from here.
Okay.
I'm not sure he's from Nashville, but he's.
Yeah.
When you're from Ireland, everywhere in America is the one place.
Right. Exactly. Exactly right. Yeah. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Billy Strings is big in Colorado because of our psychedelic culture. You know.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of that going on. So let me cut it left
Dust
here.
in the Baggies is a big tune.
Yes, that's the big one. In fact, there's a whole online community of sober Billy Strings fans.
Yeah.
And
Is Billy Strings in recovery?
they call themselves the Dusty Baggers.
Is he in recovery, Billy Strings?
I don't think so.
No.
I think he says that he's California sober, which means he doesn't drink, but he does smoke weed.
Right, I've heard, yeah.
So that's the term. In fact, he did that song with Willie Nelson
That's
called
right.
California Sober. So, all right.
So I can bounce anywhere where it's easy for you.
Okay. I'll find a good turnout up here. And here we are. This is near the Country Music Hall of Fame.
There's First
here.
Baptist Church.
Yep.
Take two fishing.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Oh, yes. I need to say our joke because that was earlier. I'm not sure if I made the camera. So you know the Baptist joke is you never take one Baptist fishing
Why is that? When?
because he'll drink all your beer. You always take two Baptist fishings, and then all your beer is safe.
Yeah. Great.
That's awesome. Yep. So you had a friend that was Baptist in Ireland.
I did, yeah.
Yep. And the Baptist churches, they're there, but they're smaller, probably.
They're smaller there, yeah.
Yeah.
And in Ireland, the Catholic Church will be the biggest church, but there's a lot of Pentecostal, and there's Elim, there's
Yep.
Baptist, there's Methodist, there's Presbyterian, there's Free Presbyterian.
Yep.
You know, was loads of different churches,
Yep.
all doing their bit.
During the pandemic, I was watching an Irish pastor from Limerick, Alan something, and it was called Limerick City Church. And he's a wonderful guy. He was talking about how you got to look out for government intrusion into the healthcare, and he was right about a lot of things.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Where is this we are now?
Say, what's that?
Where is this?
We are near the Country Music Hall of Fame.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
a convention center.
Oh
And
yeah. So I'm
You're right around the corner here,
Yeah.
right? If I go straight and left, are we there? To your hotel?
in Veteran Boulevard.
I think there's your hotel there, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, that's it there.
All right. Yeah, that one right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. We found it.
We found it.
I knew we'd find it. If we drove the grid long enough, we'd find it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
They used to say, there's a guy from my hometown used to say that if you can't see Jesus, make no mistake, you moved.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. So do you go to a daily recovery meeting and go once a week, or how
I
often
would probably
do you
go 3 to 4 times a week.
Yep. Is it you go to early morning or a late night?
Mostly nights. I would go to mostly nights.
Musician, right?
Yeah. So from 8 to or the meeting times would be from 8:30 to 10, or from 8 to 9:30. So.
And where do they meet? Are they in a church basement, or are they in a office building?
Yeah, some of them are in church buildings, but a lot of them are in my hometown are just in rented buildings.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. The one I go to is an early morning one, and it meets in the back of an Italian restaurant. And they would just call it the Castle Rock Clubhouse. It's a very innocuous kind of name, and it's a great little spot. It's right across the street from our one and only funeral home in the in the city, and it's a good reminder to walk out the front door and go, you know, if you relapse, the funeral home is waiting for you right across the street. And it's actually the place where I did my dad's memorial. So when I started the church in Castle Rock, my dad was with me when I started it, and his loss was something that I did not deal with very well.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of my emotional problems with alcohol happened during that season, mourning the loss of my dad.
How long's your dad passed?
11 years now.
11 years, yeah.
Yeah. So, but thank God, we do recover, right?
Yeah.
We do get better.
I haven't experienced, both my parents are still alive, and I haven't experienced that, and it's not something I'm looking forward to either.
Yeah, but you'll do better with it in recovery than the other way. That's for sure. You have the spiritual tools.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, John, it has been a pleasure, man. I'm so glad we had a chance to do this. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
These always go so fast because
on top of all this, I got to redrive. I got to spin around Nashville.
That's right. Get a little.
Brilliant.
That's the beauty of this show. You know, you get a relaxing little drive and a fun little conversation.
Yeah, it's been great. Another brother in recovery.
That's right. So when I come to Ireland, maybe you drive me around because you drive on the left side of the road.
Yeah,
over there,
if
right?
you come down, definitely give me a shout.
Maybe we do motorcycles there. I could handle that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, blessings to you and your wife and your kids. I'll see you online. We'll stay in touch for sure.
For sure, yeah.
And text me your address. I've got a little gift I give to everyone that's a guest on the show.
Wayne, so good. So good. Great to meet you, buddy.
All right. Have a great rest of your trip.
There's your mic.
We'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
All right. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Jesus Taxi Show. I'm so glad you joined John and I as we talked about recovery, as we talked about Jesus and about a higher power. Maybe you need to give your life to Christ. Maybe you're in a place where you know that you need to make your peace with God. Well, I believe it's as simple as praying a simple prayer that I call STP. Sorry, thank you, please. You just tell God that you're sorry for the things that you've done, for the sins you've committed. You thank Him for what He's done. You invite Christ to come into your life. You say, please forgive me and be the Lord of my life. If you'd like to pray that prayer, pray it with me right now as I pray it out loud. Just stop whatever you're doing. Create just a holy moment between you and God. Pray this prayer. Repeat after me. Say, Dear Jesus, I'm sorry for my sin. Thank you for dying on the cross for me. I believe God raised you from the dead, according to the scriptures. Please come into my heart. Forgive me of my sin. Be the Lord of my life. I want to follow you, Jesus, from this moment forward. In your name, amen. Now, if you prayed that prayer, get a Bible. Find a good local church that you can get involved in. Grow in your knowledge of the Lord and find some other Christians to fellowship with. Thanks so much for watching the Jesus Taxi Show, and support Summit Church if you can. Thanks. God bless.
Thank you so much for tuning in today to the ministry of Summit Church and the daily outreach of Wayne Hanson. You could support our ministry in many ways. Visit mysummitchurch.com and click the red button that says Donate. You can also text your offering. Open your texting app and enter this phone number, 303-625-9434. In the message box, text the amount of your gift in dollars, then press send and follow the prompts that come through your texting app. There are no fees or extra charges related to giving by text, and 100% of what you give goes directly to the ministry. If you'd like to donate by crypto or other non-cash methods, please contact our ministry for more information about routing your gift. You can also support us by connecting with our online community. Comment, share, like, repost, and subscribe to stay up to date with what's happening at the church. Take care and have a great week. Remember, God loves you and has a wonderful plan for your life.